Hey there, adepts and initiates. Welcome back. Go ahead before we get too far into this and click on the subscribe button to stay in constant contact with all the quality content that's coming out on this channel. All right, today I'm going to talk a little bit about levels of relationship. This is something that I find that's really very near and dear to my heart, and is something that I find is incredibly relevant as we talk about these concepts around quantum wizardry, moving from our ego into our essence, what all that means, and how is it that we can now start to transition and focus, not just in cultivating a deeper relationship on the world within, me relating to me, also to the world around, and how we can connect better to those people and to the environment itself. So I see this in terms of having several layers in terms of this relating, if you will. That intrapersonal relationship is where I'd like to start. That connection that I have to myself is something that is very personal. It's very internal, yet at the same time, this deeper connection within. Not just the emotions, the personal narrative, not just the feelings that I experience, going even further beyond that, beyond the depths of the subconscious mind and coming into this more broader experience of the superconsciousness. When we talk about this levels and layers of intrapersonal relating, it ties into both conscious, subconscious, and yet beyond that is the superconscious mind. So say, for example, let's take a tree, right? Let's say that there is a single leaf on a tree branch, right? And let's say that single leaf is me, right? I'm a single part of a larger, bigger, more robust organism. And let's call this organism, perhaps that branch is part of what may be the subconscious mind. Right? And the subconscious mind, the depth and breadth of which is magnitudes larger than my conscious mind, as is the branch, and indeed the tree itself is magnitudes larger than that single leaf. Now, so if that's the case, then if a single leaf represents a single person, an incarnate, let's say, identity, that is a part of a bigger, more robust system of awareness. And when we look at that tree, it comes all the way down into the ground, and the roots, spread, permeate, and penetrate the ground beneath it. The ground, the earth, the tree, the leaves, the leaf itself are all part of something bigger. This super consciousness where everything is created, everything is related, and everything is interconnected. Now, as we look at this, then, there's a whole big piece when we actually just talk about the intrapersonal relating, my relationship to me. There are levels there, right? How do I relate in terms of my subconscious mind? Let's say that is the cumulative aspects of self-identity, right? My deeper feelings and emotions and values and beliefs and the core experiences that created all of those pieces and has created to a certain degree the identity that we identify as the ego, right? The ego is something that we identify with. It is a personality. It is a persona that has been created indeed to be able to survive in this world. Now, in surviving in this world, what that means is that there have been, especially in early childhood, things that have happened that have necessitated us having to take care of ourselves. Whether we look at that for myself, for example, something that came up was that it was better if I just be quiet. So I didn't speak up. I did not articulate for many years. I did not kind of withdrew from situations rather than engaging it, expressing myself, because I didn't feel as if what I had to say was valuable. And that was a story that I lived my life by for many, many years. Now, as that, continues to be a part not just of childhood into adulthood, we find that that doesn't really work, right? I found that in relationships that really just did not work. Whether we're talking about romantic relationships or even friendships. If I was always quiet and I didn't share, then people were less likely to share over time with me. And so I found that there was more that I wanted to say, that I really wanted to be heard, that I really wanted to be seen. And as I went through this whole revelation, that was an invitation for me to do something differently. And I started to deep dive into the subconscious mind. I started to relate as a leaf to this tree of cumulative concepts and belief of who I am in a very different manner. Now, as we go through that, though, the subconscious mind and its relationship to the superconscious mind is, again, magnitudes of difference. You know, the concept of the subconscious mind creates an identity. That identity sees myself as separate of you who's watching this video right now. The superconscious mind sees all through the lens of oneness, that you are a reflection of me and vice versa, that there are things that only I'm able to be attentive to within you. That is something that I have and hold within me. And in that, then, there is a deeper level of relating, not just to you as a person, to this cell phone that I have and am recording through the sounds of the trees, the birds and the breeze, all these different elements and elemental pieces that come into play. My own relationship to the land that I live on, you know. And so as we look through this lens of oneness, the AKA superconscious mind, we begin to change. Because would I harm myself the way that I would decide to harm the earth by pouring all kinds of chemicals into it? Would I take that same bottle and drink it myself? I hope not. I mean, I would not personally. However, how we engage the world around us is a great and deeply reflective state of how we are and relate to the world within. So that intrapersonal relationship is key. It is something that is an ongoing, lifelong process that allows us to broaden the spectrum of who we are and to continue to expand upon our own being. Now, as that happens, again, it's ongoing, it is lifelong, and so it's not like done like that. You know, it's something that's going to be a lifelong process. And so as that continues to transpire, we can look at then our interpersonal relations, like our interpersonal relating with those who are closest to us and who are we closest with. So how I relate to my sons, for example, is a very good reflection in terms of how I relate to that aspect of myself, my own inner child. Because there are ways and definitely days where I'm not the person that I really am intending to be, that I aspire to be. Yet I come back to that question of how am I treating others in my, proximity, in my social circle, in my inner circle, and is that a way that I really would like to be treated? As that continues on, then it kind of spans how I relate to myself is how I relate to the world around me, to the people, to the environment, to all things. So as we go into that interpersonal relationship, our inner circle, and those we are closest with, we then go further into our professional circle. You know, most of us have some kind of job, career, or work that we, spend a good, formidable portion of our day with. Sometimes 4 hours, sometimes 14 hours, whatever it is. That professional sphere means that we are relating to either coworkers, to our bosses, to our clients, and that's a huge thing to also look at, because how we can be in service to another, which is my own personal perspective on profession, is very telling, again, of how we relate to the world within. That professional piece can be critically important because if, for example, when I take someone out on a tour of the island, I did a spirit quest 2 days ago, and it was a father and a daughter, and we went down to the beach and we're there and we were relating to the waters. We started off with deep breath, kilo in terms of listening, tuning in terms of mindfulness, and for the entirety of the day, it was as if I was taking family members around. It was my own ohana. Right? And so I wanted to show, I wanted to share, I wanted them to experience and to feel the safety of expressing what they were able to discern through their own lenses. And as such, then, they had a phenomenal time, as did I. Now, as we go past that, then, the professional sphere, we also have the last, which is community. And our community is not just a matter of those that we are in service with. It can also be the environment, the land, and the aina that we live upon. How we relate in all these spheres, ultimately though, whether community, professional, interpersonal, all relate to our intrapersonal. How we relate and connect within affects everything else. And so a good portion of what we'll be talking about, especially along the lines of our quantum wizardry, is that intrapersonal relationship. Because how we do one thing is how we do everything. How we relate in one way within is how we relate to all aspects of the world around us. That's it for now, though. Love and aloha. Take care, and ahui ho.